Have you ever wondered if, on this bustling and crowded earth, where every corner seems to bear the footprints of human civilization, there still exists some remote wilderness that time has completely forgotten? A place where the pristine is not just a concept, but a vivid, breathing, roaring entity that has proudly existed through millions of years of geological history? Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a realm where giant mountains reach up to the ninth heaven, shaped like tables carved by the hand of the Creator, where the planet's greatest waterfalls pour down from the silent sky, shattering into clouds of white mist before they can even touch the ground. Welcome to Venezuela, a grand, fierce, and mysterious masterpiece of Mother Nature. Nestled at the northern gateway of the South American continent, Venezuela is often known to the world more through news reports of economic fluctuations or political upheavals. But hidden behind the mist of that news cycle, behind the bustling cities or giant oil wells, lies a massive ecological kingdom, a priceless living museum preserving the oldest chapters of the blue planet's history. Venezuela is not merely a country. Geographically and biologically, it is like a miniature continent, a world of unthinkable extremes that coexist in parallel and strange harmony. Within the borders of a single nation, you will find the convergence of four completely contrasting natural worlds. In the south, bordering the equatorial latitude, is the absolute reign of the bewildering and dark Amazon rainforest. It is the kingdom of giant, ancient trees that obscure the sun, where millions of creatures are interwoven in a complex web of survival, echoing with the primal sounds of animals calling to their mates. To the west, the terrain suddenly surges upward, piercing the sky to create the majestic, jagged peaks of the northern edge of the Great Andes. Here, a layer of white snow covers the skyscraper peaks in year-round cold, creating a staggering contrast with the sweltering heat and humidity of the equator just below. But this magnificent picture does not stop there. Tucked between high mountains and dense forests is the wild heartbeat of the massive flooded grasslands, the llanos. Under the ruthless yet benevolent influence of the rain and sun cycles, the llanos undergoes a spectacular reincarnation of life and death each year, transforming from a parched, cracked desert into a vast inland sea that nourishes millions of diverse organisms. And then, looking toward the north, Venezuela generously treats souls yearning for peace with a coastline thousands of kilometers long, embracing the jade-green Caribbean Sea. There, vibrant coral reefs hide beneath crystal-clear waters, surrounding islands with sand as fine as white powder, like an earthly paradise. Nature in Venezuela makes no compromises. It does not yield or shrink back. Instead, it displays a lush, furious beauty that is challenging to anyone who wishes to conquer it. It is the lightning storms that brilliantly illuminate the silent night sky over a giant lake. It is the bizarre animals with appearances seemingly found only in folk legends. It is the bottomless abysses and the mossy vertical cliffs that have never seen a human footprint. Every winding river, every towering mountain, every branch and blade of grass here carries within it a story, an endless epic of the fierce vitality of eternal nature. Throughout the duration of this journey, we will set aside the hustle and bustle of the modern world to cross deep green jungles, climb legendary sacred peaks, immerse ourselves in the storms of the flooded plains, and listen to the whispers of a primal culture living in harmony with nature. Prepare yourself a quiet mind to be ready for the overwhelming, to awaken every sense, and to feel how small you are before the immeasurable greatness of heaven and earth. Our adventure into the lost world officially begins. leave behind the noise of the present world, and fly deep into the southeast of Venezuela, through thick layers of mist, to enter a sanctuary where time seems to have frozen since the dawn of creation. Stretching vast beneath our eyes right now is the Guiana Shield. Do not let the silence of the dense forests fool you. Beneath that lush green carpet is one of the oldest geological foundations to ever exist on the Earth's crust. We are flying over a band of rock with an age of up to over 2 billion years, which is half the age of the planet itself. When this land was formed, Earth was still a desolate sphere, without the presence of dinosaurs or even complex multicellular organisms. Over billions of years, under the relentless destructive and constructive power of wind, rain, and the frenzied tectonic shifts of the Earth's crust, a massive original sandstone block was worn down, fractured, and eroded. The soft earth was washed away to the sea, leaving only the toughest sandstone and quartz blocks to stand resiliently, towering amidst the old jungle. And the result of that great sculpture spanning billions of years is the Tepui Table Mountains. Viewed from afar, the Tepuis rise amidst the vast Grand Sabana grasslands like giant fortresses of the ancient gods. Unlike typical pointed mountains pushed up by tectonic plates, Tepuis possess sheer, smooth, vertical cliffs reaching thousands of meters into the sky, ending in an astonishingly flat surface covering hundreds of square kilometers. In the language of the indigenous Pemon people, who have lived in the shadow of these giants for generations, Tepui means house of the gods. They believe the summits are sacred, inviolable places where supreme spirits dwell and where no mortal is allowed to set foot. The Pemon's reverence and fear are not without basis. The vertical structure of the Tepuis has unintentionally created a biological phenomenon extremely rare on Earth: absolute isolation. Like islands floating in the ocean of the sky, hundreds of Tepui Table Mountains are hundreds of completely closed ecosystems, separated from the rest of the dense Amazon jungle below by unscalable stone walls. Let us land on Roraima, the highest and most famous Tepui in this complex. Stepping onto the summit of Roraima is like entering another planet. The mountain's surface is not fertile land, but a haunting maze of jet-black sandstone blocks carved by wind and acid rain into bizarre shapes. Some look like snarling monsters, others exactly like giant chessboards. The ground is scattered with sparkling quartz crystals reflecting the sunlight, interspersed with bottomless, pitch-black stagnant pools. With no soil to hold nutrients, life on the Tepui summits has had to evolve in the most extreme ways to survive. Here, you will rarely see lush, broad-leaved trees. Instead, it is the kingdom of carnivorous plants. Dozens of species of pitcher plants and fly traps with brilliant red colors and sharp thorns grow from the rock crevices, patiently waiting for naive prey. They have learned to take protein from insects to compensate for the barrenness of the parent rock. But the strangest creature here is perhaps the black pebble toad, Oreophrynella. Unlike every other frog species in the world, this tiny toad the size of a fingertip cannot swim or jump. Living on a barren summit full of storms and predators over millions of years, it has evolved a unique defense mechanism. When in danger, it tenses up, curls its body like a black pebble, and lets itself roll freely into deep rock crevices to escape. Up to 80% of the flora and fauna on the summit of Roraima and other Tepuis are endemic species, meaning you cannot find them anywhere else on the entire planet. The spine-chilling mystery and wilderness of Roraima have transcended Venezuela's borders to enter the world of literature and legend. In the early 20th century, the first reports from Western explorers about an isolated land on high, where impenetrable cliffs hid a world of prehistoric creatures, shocked the British royalty. Those stories reached the ears of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the father of the famous detective Sherlock Holmes. Obsessed and captivated by the idea of an ecosystem untouched by time, in 1912, Conan Doyle penned the classic science fiction novel, The Lost World. In his work, Mount Roraima served as the setting where herds of giant dinosaurs, pterodactyls, and ancient ape-men still survived and reigned supreme. Though in reality, there are no dinosaurs atop Roraima, its primeval beauty and eternal isolation are enough to prove that. No matter how great human imagination may be, it is merely a reflection of nature's own wild masterpieces. But Roraima is still not the mountain holding the greatest secret of this land. Let us fly northwest to witness Ollantaytambo Tepui, the Table Mountain with the largest surface area in Venezuela. In the indigenous language, Ollantaytambo Tepui bears a terrifying name, Devil's Mountain. It is so vast that its flat summit covers an area of over 700 square kilometers, larger than the area of many bustling cities around the world. And it is upon this colossal surface that one of nature's greatest wonders is silently gathering its strength. The Guiana Shield region is one of the places with the highest rainfall on the planet. For thousands of years, tropical rains have poured relentlessly onto the surface of Ollantaytambo Tepui. Rainwater seeps through cracks in the sandstone, converging into underground rivers and giant lakes hidden deep beneath the rock layers. Then, when those currents find an exit at the edge of the sheer cliffs called Churun Canyon, they create a spectacle that defies all limits of physics and vision. Yes, before our eyes right now is Angel Falls, the highest waterfall on Earth. Hold your breath and follow the water. From an unimaginable height of 979 meters, 15 times higher than the Great Niagara Falls in North America, and taller than the world's tallest building, the Burj Khalifa, a massive volume of water roars and plunges straight into the abyss. The free-fall height of the water is strangely immense, nearly 1 kilometer of vertical drop without touching a single cliff face. Because the fall is so long, a spectacular phenomenon occurs. Much of the water from the top of the falls cannot even reach the ground in liquid form. Air resistance tears the massive flow apart, turning it into a white, misty storm, hazy and ethereal, drifting across the dense canyon below. If you stand at the foot of the falls, you won't feel heavy droplets pouring down, but only a cold drizzle floating in the air, accompanied by a thunderous roar echoing against the cliffs, creating the grand bass notes of a wild symphony. When sunlight shines through that mist, Churun Canyon is adorned with dozens of brilliant rainbows, shimmering like silk ribbons draped across the eternal sky. But the name Angel Falls does not actually originate from its heavenly beauty. It was named after a man of flesh and blood, an adventurous pilot named Jimmy Angel, who created one of the most incredible survival legends of the 20th century. In the 1930s, when the world was gripped by a fever for forgotten treasures, Jimmy Angel, a famously reckless American pilot, heard rumors of a river filled with pure gold deep within the Venezuelan jungle. Obsessed by the dream of wealth, in October 1937, Jimmy, along with his wife Marie and 2 companions, flew a small propeller plane named El Rio Caroni over the skies of the Guiana Shield. While flying past Ollantaytambo Tepui, he was overwhelmed by the giant waterfall pouring from the white clouds and decided to land right on the flat top of this Table Mountain to explore. But the Devil's Mountain did not easily welcome uninvited guests. As soon as it touched down, the seemingly flat, muddy surface of the Tepui summit swallowed the plane's wheels. The aircraft became mired, nose-dived, and was severely damaged. 4 people were suddenly trapped at an altitude of nearly 3,000 meters, with no radio, no supplies, surrounded only by thick mist, ghost-shaped rocks, and deadly vertical cliffs. Unable to take off and facing death from hunger and cold, they had only one path to survival: walking down the mountain. A decision that seemed insane. Using instinctive survival skills, crossing deep crevices, and swinging from roots clinging to mossy, slippery vertical cliffs, Jimmy Angel and his colleagues undertook an agonizingly arduous journey. For 11 days, they trudged along the line between life and death, enduring torrential jungle rains and the bone-chilling cold of the high mountains. Finally, a miracle occurred when they reached the plains, found an indigenous village, and returned alive to the astonishment of the world. Jimmy Angel's plane remained on the summit of Ollantaytambo for 33 years as a testament to human courage and pride in the face of violent nature. Although Jimmy never found the river of gold he craved, he inadvertently gave humanity a treasure 10,000 times more brilliant and valuable. The world's greatest waterfall has since been honored with his name, Angel Falls. Time continues to flow. Civilizations rise and fall, but Angel Falls remains the same. It still proudly pours crystal clear life water from the house of the gods into the Charoon River below, carrying life and the most primitive mysteries of the prehistoric era into the heart of South America. It stands there as a reminder of a forgotten world that has never stopped breathing, a living testament to the absolute, wild, and mesmerizing power of nature. Let the mist clouds of Mount Roraima fade behind us, closing the pages of a prehistoric world on high. Our flight now descends, plunging into an entirely different space. Stretching endlessly before your eyes, beyond all limits of vision, is Los Llanos, the massive tropical grasslands of South America. Occupying nearly 1/3 of Venezuela's territory, Los Llanos is so vast that it could easily swallow the combined area of several European nations. But do not be quick to think that flatness equates to peace. In total contrast to the eternal silence of the Tepuy Table Mountains, Los Llanos is a fierce battlefield of survival, a giant stage where Mother Nature constantly performs the most epic drama of life and death, choreographed by a single force: water. The climate here suffers from an extreme bipolar disorder, dividing the year into two halves with hauntingly opposite characteristics. Imagine yourself standing in the Llanos during the dry season months, lasting from December to April. You are welcomed by a desolate, cracked land under the scorching, blistering tropical sun. The sky is cloudless, and the air is thick with red dust swirling up after every gust of wind that burns the face. The once mighty rivers are now just tiny, gasping trickles of water. Tens of thousands of hectares of lush green grassland are scorched into a withered, dry yellow. At the harshest moments, every creature in the Llanos must cast aside territorial instincts to gather around the last remaining muddy puddles. It is a temporary peace treaty established by thirst. You will see flocks of birds, rodents, and even dangerous predators standing just a few steps apart. Beneath the thick mud, thousands of creatures are silently counting down the days, patiently waiting for a miracle from the sky. And then that miracle arrives. Around May, dark clouds from the Atlantic and the Amazon rainforest begin to roll in, covering the sky. Peals of thunder signal the end of the drought, and the rain pours down. Not just fleeting showers, but cataclysmic deluges that last for months. Massive volumes of water overflow the banks of the Orinoco and Apure rivers, completely transforming this vast plain. From a parched and cracked land, Los Llanos transforms into a vast inland sea, a giant mirror reflecting the deep blue sky. Water brings a revival of life. Vegetation explodes in a vibrant green within just a few weeks. And this is when the wild heart of Venezuela beats with its most rhythmic pulse. Swimming playfully among the floating water hyacinths are families of capybaras, or chigüire, as the locals call them. This is the largest rodent in the world, with a stout, gentle body and a face that always radiates a sense of enjoying life. When the grasslands flood, the capybara returns to its very own paradise. They have webbed feet for innate swimming and can dive deep underwater for up to 5 minutes to hide from enemies or simply to snack on submerged meadows of young grass. When sunset falls, dyeing the vast waters a brilliant red, the Llanos sky continues to treat your vision to an overwhelming spectacle. Thousands of scarlet ibises simultaneously take flight. Their plumage is a brilliant red, shimmering like dancing flames in mid-air. They fly in large flocks, creating ruby-colored ribbons across the twilight sky before landing on flooded groves to sleep for the night, turning the entire tree into a giant bouquet glowing amidst the wetlands. But these calm waters do not only possess poetic beauty. Hidden beneath those verdant water hyacinths is the domain of camouflage masters, the ultimate predators since prehistoric times. With only 2 eyes and 2 nostrils protruding from the water, a giant Orinoco crocodile waits patiently. Reaching nearly 5 meters in length and weighing hundreds of kilograms, this critically endangered endemic crocodile is one of the largest reptiles in the Americas. Its towering scales, razor-sharp teeth, and a bite with bone-crushing force make it the uncrowned king of the deep waters. However, even the giant crocodile must be wary of the true queen of the Llanos marshes, the green anaconda. Thanks to the buoyancy of the water, this largest and heaviest snake on the planet can grow to incredible sizes, over 6 meters long and weighing hundreds of kilograms. In contrast to its massive, somewhat lumbering body on land, when slithering into the water, the anaconda transforms into a silent, graceful, and deadly phantom. With muscles rippling with power, it can constrict and take down large prey such as deer, wild boars, or even crocodiles. The presence of the anaconda is the clearest evidence of a prosperous, pristine ecosystem where the balance of survival has not yet been interfered with by human hands. However, to speak of the Llanos and only mention nature would be a profound omission. For living in harmony and resiliently contending with the very harshness of that nature is a vibrant culture known as Llaneros, the cowboys of Venezuela. They are not like the cowboys of the American West, with revolvers and dusty wagons. The Llaneros are kites of the wetlands, born on horseback and raised alongside the lowing of cattle. Since the 16th century, when the Spanish brought the first cattle to this land, the Llaneros have forged for themselves a proud nomadic lifestyle. Look at how they work during the rainy season. Thousands of cattle need to be herded from flooded lowlands to higher mounds to avoid drowning. This migratory journey lasts for weeks. The Llaneros, wearing straw hats and perched barefoot on the backs of wild ponies, bravely plunge into the floodwaters. The water rises as high as the horses' chests. They face countless dangers lurking beneath the murky waters, from bloodthirsty piranhas and stingrays hidden in the mud to giant crocodiles and anacondas. Any slip-up could cost a life. So what has helped these small humans maintain the calm and strength to herd tens of thousands of cattle across the threshold of death? The answer lies in song. Amidst the splashing of thousands of hooves, the rumbling thunder, and the whistling wind, there rises a haunting, wild, and heartbreakingly rustic melody. These are the cantos de arreo, the traditional cattle-herding songs of the llaneros. They do not sing for an audience. They sing for the cattle. The voices are long and undulating with the rhythm of the water, acting both to soothe the panicked herd and to warn predators to stay away, while also allowing the herders to keep in touch across a vast, boundless marshland. Each song is a story of love, loss, gratitude to Mother Earth, and absolute respect for the power of nature. That sound is woven through every blade of grass and every drop of water in the llanos for hundreds of years. The epic beauty and profound human value of these songs are so great that in 2017, UNESCO officially recognized the llaneros' work songs as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. As night falls over the plains by the flickering fire, the cowboys pluck notes from the harp and the small cuatro, their singing blending with the chirping of insects. At that moment, you will realize Los Llanos is not just a land, nor just a sea of water. Los Llanos is a state of mind, a place where nature is violent yet forgiving, where humans are small yet possess an incomparable resilience and romance, a beautiful dance of survival, where both humans and beasts must dance to the fierce heartbeat of the wild heart named Venezuela. Leaving the vast flooded marshes of Los Llanos, where tropical heat exhales humid breaths into the air, our journey abruptly turns northwest. Within a not-so-great geographical distance, the Earth's crust suddenly bends, rising to create a massive barrier across the horizon. The temperature begins to drop sharply. The lush vegetation of the rainforest gives way to misty cloud forests, then to low shrubs, and finally to only gravel and ice. That is the Andes, the longest continental mountain range on Earth, and its northern cloak drapes over Venezuelan territory with a majestic, hauntingly cold beauty. The existence of the Andes in the heart of an equatorial nation like Venezuela is a miraculous paradox of nature. At an altitude above 3,000 meters, we enter the Paramo ecosystem, a rare form of high-altitude tropical tundra. The air here is thin and freezing. Scattered across the misty hillsides are thousands of frailejones, with thick leaves covered in silver fuzz to keep warm and catch every drop of morning dew. These endemic plants resemble monks in gray robes standing in silent prayer amidst a sea of fog. They appear silent and patient, possessing an astonishingly hardy vitality to withstand the bone-chilling frosty nights. Continuing further upward, piercing through the clouds, we reach the roof of Venezuela, Pico Bolivar, situated at 4,978 meters above sea level. The mountain named after the great liberator Simón Bolívar rises proudly like a spear piercing the deep blue sky. Surrounding the peak is a world of absolute stillness made of granite and eternal glaciers. The existence of white snow glistening under the tropical sun is an iconic image, an affirmation that in Venezuela there are no climatic limits that nature cannot break. And right here, where life seems completely frozen, look up high. Soaring past the snow-capped peak is a giant shadow obscuring the sun. That is the Andean condor. With a wingspan that can reach over 3 meters, this is one of the largest flying birds in the world. By taking perfect advantage of the thermal currents rising from deep valleys, The condor can soar for hours without a single wing beat. It glides through the absolute stillness of the high mountains, its cold, sharp eyes surveying a vast territory. To the indigenous people of the Andes, the condor is not just a creature. It is the embodiment of sky gods, a messenger connecting the earthly realm with the sacred spiritual world. The image of the jet-black condor spreading its wings alone against the pure white snow of Pico Bolivar is the perfect symbol of freedom, pride, and the unconquerable power of nature. But Venezuelan nature never seems to want to let us rest in silence for long. From the freezing snow-capped peaks of the Andes, meltwater trickles down, merging into large rivers that surge toward a giant basin in the northwest. Follow those waters and the cold winds from the high mountains to reach our next stop, Lake Maracaibo. Surrounded by the Andes on both the east and west, Lake Maracaibo is not only the largest lake in South America, but also one of the oldest on Earth, with an estimated age of 36 million years. Sitting atop a massive oil reserve that brings prosperity to Venezuela, what makes this lake a legend on the world geographical map lies in the sky above it. Direct your eyes toward the southwest of the lake, where the Catatumbo River pours its brackish, silty waters into Maracaibo. As the sun sets, giving way to the pitch-black night, these tranquil wetlands prepare to transform into the stage for the craziest, most intense, and most magnificent meteorological phenomenon on the planet, Catatumbo lightning. It is not a typical lightning storm that dissipates after a few hours. Locals call it the eternal storm. On average each year, for up to 260 nights, the sky at the mouth of the Catatumbo River is torn apart by the fury of lightning. These storms can last continuously for up to 9 hours each night. Imagine tens of thousands of brilliant multicolored lightning bolts, from pure white and blue to fiery red and deep purple, continuously striking the lake's surface. There are moments when the sky flashes up to 280 times in a single minute. The entire space is lit up as brightly as day by a massive source of energy. The strangest and most terrifying thing about Catatumbo lightning is its silence. Because this phenomenon usually occurs at very high altitudes in the sky and quite far from shore, the light reaches the observer's eyes instantly. But the sound of thunder is buffeted away by strong winds and never reaches the ears. You stand there, immersed in the darkness of the night, witnessing the sky as if it were on fire, as if it were collapsing, yet your ears hear absolutely no sound other than the rustling waves and the chirping of insects, a silent feast of light, a ghostly dance of plasma and electric charges that makes anyone witnessing it shudder before the ultimate power of the universe. The formation of this natural lightning reactor is a perfect combination of unique topography. Trade winds blowing from the Caribbean Sea carry warm water vapor across Lake Maracaibo. When they hit the icy slopes of the surrounding Andes Mountains, they are pushed upward abruptly. Here, the hot, humid air mass collides violently with the frigid air currents streaming down from the snow-capped peaks. At the same time, massive amounts of methane gas rising from decomposing vegetation in the mud of the Catatumbo marshes fuel the storm clouds, creating a huge electrical charge differential and releasing millions of lightning bolts. The brilliant light of Catatumbo is not just a scientific wonder. It once directly intervened and changed the course of history. Its light is so dazzling and regular that for centuries, Caribbean sailors used it as an eternal natural lighthouse for navigation, calling it the Lighthouse of Maracaibo. And it was this very lighthouse that once saved an entire city from a massacre. Historical anecdotes record that in 1595, Sir Francis Drake, one of the most famous explorers and notorious pirates of the Elizabethan era, led a powerful fleet into Lake Maracaibo, Drake's intent was cunning. He ordered all warships to extinguish their lights, using the silent night to approach stealthily and launch a surprise attack to level the sleeping city of Maracaibo. However, this arrogant pirate miscalculated a crucial condition. He was waging war in the territory of Catatumbo Lightning. Just as Drake's fleet crept close to the shore, as if by fate, the night sky suddenly exploded. Thousands of lightning bolts struck repeatedly, tearing through the night and brightly illuminating every mast, every cannon, and every silhouette on the British warships. Under that daylight-like flashing light, the people and defense forces of Maracaibo immediately spotted the enemy. They sounded the alarm in time, gathered their forces, and delivered fatal artillery strikes. The secret raid was a total failure. Sir Francis Drake was forced to order a retreat, carrying with him the terror of a natural force that protected this land. From the silent, icy, snow-capped peaks to the lake regions boiling with the dance of thunder and lightning, Venezuelan nature proves to us that here, there is no room for boredom. It is a land created by the collision of the most powerful energies, forming a great symphony where the static and the dynamic, the cold and the fiery, always coexist. Leave behind the incessant rolling thunder of the Catatumbo sky. Let the sharp, cold, snowy peaks of the Andes fade into the sea of mist. Soar into the air, heading straight toward the northernmost part of the country, where the last stretches of land give way to the vast ocean. Welcoming you now is a natural landscape with a completely different resonance. Gentle, serene, and breathtakingly brilliant. This is the legendary Caribbean Sea and the most precious jewel on that azure crown, the Los Roques Archipelago. While nature in the Tepuy Table Mountains or the Llanos Plains is a song of harshness and fury, at Los Roques, Mother Nature transforms into a gentle, forgiving, and romantic artist. This archipelago is a system of more than 300 islands, cays, and atolls, stretched out like a string of sparkling pearls scattered across the endless water. The colors at Los Roques do not follow any ordinary laws of physics. On the same sea surface, you can admire dozens of different shades of blue, transitioning smoothly within just a few arm spans, from clear emerald near the sandy shore, gradually shifting to sparkling turquoise in the sun, and finally sinking into the deep, distant navy of the offshore ocean. The sands here do not carry the murky yellow of silt, but are the crystallization of millions of years of coral and shell erosion, creating a pure white silk ribbon as smooth as powder, the softest boundary separating sea and sky. Beneath those crystal-clear waters lies a kingdom as prosperous as the busiest cities on land. Thousands of intertwined coral reefs form brilliant castles, home to schools of brightly colored reef fish, sea turtles gliding leisurely through warm currents, and elegant spotted eagle rays flapping their wings along the sandy bottom. There is no hustle and bustle, no overt bloody struggle for survival, only the sound of waves rustling against the shore and the calls of pelicans and flamingos leisurely foraging in the quiet sunset. Los Roques is Venezuela's gentlest smile, an oasis of absolute peace. But our journey to the waters would not be complete if it only stopped at the sea. Follow the coastline eastward, where the giant ocean must humbly open its arms to receive the continent's great flow. This is where the proud Orinoco River completes its journey of over 2,000 kilometers through forests and plains, pouring its final drops into the heart of the Atlantic Ocean. This is the Orinoco Delta. There is no clear border between land and water here. It is not a straight coastline, but a massive, tangled, and mysterious labyrinth made of tens of thousands of canals, creeks, small islands, and endlessly intertwining mangroves. The ancient forest roots grow straight down into the silt-clouded brackish water. Dense canopies weave together to block out the sky, creating deep green tunnels where sunlight can only filter through the leaves in thin rays. Echoing throughout the space are the long, resonant howls of howler monkeys hidden high in the canopy, blending with the wing beats of colorful macaw parrots in shades of red, blue, and bright yellow gliding through the air. Beneath the dark water, you will occasionally see the light pink back of the legendary Amazon River dolphin arching briefly before vanishing, like the silent guardian deities of the river. And hidden deep within that silent and pristine labyrinth is one of humanity's most beautiful and harmonious stories of survival. Amidst the Orinoco mangroves, humans are neither conquerors nor victims of nature. They are a perfect piece of this very ecosystem. Welcome to the land of the Warao people. In their native language, their name bears a very simple yet proud meaning: the people of the water. The Warao people have lived in this delta for thousands of years, long before Spanish fleets discovered the South American continent. To survive in a world where dry land is a luxury, they have created a unique way of life. Look at their houses. The Warao do not build homes on the ground. They construct palafitos, rustic stilt huts with thatched roofs raised high on sturdy wooden pillars driven straight into the riverbed. The extraordinary thing about these structures is that they are built entirely by the dexterity of human hands, without using a single iron nail or screw. They use forest vines to weave, tie, and lock the wooden joints together. These houses sway gently with the rhythm of the tides, soft yet resilient enough to withstand the most violent tropical storms. For the Warao, their feet were not born to walk on land, but to stand firm on curiaras, canoes carved from a single large tree trunk. From a toddler just learning to walk to the elderly with age-spotted skin and silver hair, all are exceptional paddlers. The canoe is not just a means of transport. It is an extension of their legs, a tool for survival, and a cradle tied to the life cycle of every person born amidst the Orinoco waters. But the greatest secret to survival, which has helped the Warao hold on to this wetland for generations, lies in a plant, the Maurice palm. To the outside world, it is just a tree. But to the Warao people, the Maurice palm is the sacred tree of life bestowed by the gods. Not a single part of this tree is wasted. Its sturdy trunk is used for stilt house pillars and as material for crafting canoes. Its giant leaves are used to thatch roofs for protection against rain and sun. But the most marvelous ingenuity lies in how they strip delicate fibers from the palm's young leaves, then spend months braiding, knitting, and weaving them into beautiful chinchorros, hammocks. This hammock is the softest bed where Warao children utter their first cries of birth, and also the place where the elderly take their final breath to return to the spirit of the river. Not only providing shelter, the tree of life also sustains the entire tribe. Maurice palm fruit provides an abundant source of vitamins. The trunk contains a nutrient-rich starch core, and even the plump palm grubs thriving in decaying trunks are a precious source of protein for daily meals. As the twilight gilds the waters of the Orinoco Delta, the image of Warao women weaving hammocks on stilt house porches, while men gently paddle their canoes back through the still waters, creates a priceless anthropological scene. It reminds us that, despite the lightning-fast development of the modern world out there, there are still people living a pure life, knowing how to bow in respect to nature, taking the river as a companion and the old forest as a protective sanctuary. A perfect harmony at the edge of the land, where the ancient forest leans down to give a passionate kiss to the vast ocean. Our journey of 10,000 miles flying across this wild South American land must also come to a close. Looking down from above, as the crimson evening clouds embrace the horizon, we truly feel the incalculable greatness of the land named Venezuela. This is not merely a country with borders drawn by human hands. It is a miniature planet, a unique realm of the human world where Mother Nature has gathered all the most extreme, brilliant, and primal elements of the universe to carve an eternal masterpiece. We have stood in silence together before the overwhelming majesty of the ancient Tepuy Table Mountains, the dwelling place of primordial gods, where the secrets of a lost world are kept. We have held our breath plunging down the great Angel Falls as it pours from the 9 levels of clouds, shattering into misty layers. We have felt the passionate, harsh, yet generous heartbeat of the Los Llanos wild heart, where life and death dance on the same vast surface of the water. Then we shivered before the bone-chilling cold of the snowy Andes peaks, only to be blinded immediately after by the magnificent fury of the Catatumbo fiery sky. And finally, we found a rare peace among the shimmering Caribbean coral reefs, listening to the rustic songs of the Warao people rising from the deep, dark Orinoco mangroves. That is Venezuela, a kingdom of interwoven extremes where fire and ice, depths and heights, fury and silence coexist in a perfect symphony of creation. However, as the camera pulls back, as the magnificent scenery gives way to reality, we are forced to face a heartbreaking truth. No matter how great and fierce, the nature here also carries within it a painful fragility. Global climate change is daily altering the millennial rhythm of the Llanos' flooded grasslands, making dry seasons longer and more devastating. The eternal snow on Pico Bolivar is receding before the heat of the new era. And deep within the Guiana Shield, or the Amazon rainforest, the sounds of mining machinery and indiscriminate deforestation are directly threatening the sacred isolation of endemic ecosystems. Tiny species hiding on the summit of Roraima or giant Orinoco crocodiles are facing the harshest survival challenges, which come not from natural laws, but from human greed and indifference. Venezuela may be experiencing the ups and downs of the times, historical fluctuations, or economic difficulties. But human history, however long, is just a blink of an eye compared to the billions of years of these sandstone blocks. The Tepuy Table Mountains will still stand there, proudly defying the laws of time. Angel Falls will still sing the epic song of eternal life-giving water, and the Maracaibo sky will still light up every night a brilliant lighthouse, tearing through all darkness. Venezuela's nature does not need humans to exist, but humans desperately need pristine sanctuaries like this to remind ourselves of our roots, of humanity's smallness, and of the sacred duty to protect the priceless heritage of the blue planet. We are not the masters of the earth. We are merely lucky passers-by, allowed to admire its glorious beauty. Please leave behind footprints of respect and take away unforgettable memories. Thank you for spending time with us to cross the vast forests, wade through the rivers, and touch the clouds of this wonderful land. If the journey to explore the masterpiece of nature in Venezuela has left you with deep emotions, don't forget to press the like button and share this video with other nature-loving souls. Please press subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next epic documentaries where we will continue to decode the most wonderful mysteries of the blue planet. Goodbye and see you again at New Horizons.